Dear students, welcome to our BookmarksEducare. Okay, right now we are going to talk about transport in plants. Before me, our biologist sir already talked to you about the transportation in animals. So right now I am going to talk about in plants. So what do plants need for transportation? From the soil, the plants need minerals, water, and after that, from the air, they need CO2, and it is like that. And these all are used to synthesize the food, what they need for their daily life. So, there are, I mean, there are two types of tissues present in the plant, which helps the plant to to transport all the minerals and all the water they need for their daily life, like the xylem and phloem. In the xylem, as you can see that roots take the water from the soil. Okay, so the thing is that it goes upward, and from there it goes to the leaf, leaf, flower, fruits, like this. So there it is only an unidirectional process. They don't go from upward to the downward process. They only need to go to the upward, so it is a unidirectional. And this xylem only carries minerals and water. After all, the plants will get the minerals and the water from the soil itself. Which cells are present? Tracheids and vessels. These vessels are also known as dead cells, and it is and this this unidirectional process is done by root pressure and transpiration pull. I will talk about these two processes later. So after that comes phloem. It is another tissue. Here there are two directions. One that is it goes upward, another is it goes downward. So here only food are translocated. The translocation means that circulation of food, only food. Okay. So the thing is that in the phloem, whatever is being generated, like the food, the glucose, is sometimes goes upward, from to the flowers to the fruits, because they need this. And after that it also comes to the root also, because root is uh, root also needs the energy to the to do the work, like transportation of water, minerals, like that. Okay, since there are two directions, it is known as bidirectional process. It carries food, glucose, from leaves to other parts. It goes to the leaves, to the fruit, also it goes down to the roots also. And what type of cells are there? Sieve tubes, companion cells. Okay, and these are living cells. Like in xylem, these vessels are dead, all dead, and in the phloem, these companion cells are living. And to do this bidirectional process, they need the energy, and this energy, it's obviously ATP. Okay, so the structure of xylem. I mean, Xylem is, as I have already talked about the function. So there are, going to talk about the components. The first is tracheids. These are long tapered cells. Water passes via pits. I mean, as you can see this cell, it is the tracheid. Okay, as you can see that this part and this part, these are tapered ends. And from the diagram you can readily answer this, that this is the tracheid. Okay, like tapered ends, and water flows through the pits. As you can see, these are pits. These all are peats. Okay, and the vessels are wider, tube-like. I mean, as you can from the shape, you can already see that this vessel is already tube-like structure and efficient conduction. There are also xylem parenchyma, which is used for storage, and xylem fibers, which is used for support. This one is trachea. It is parenchyma, and this is the xylem fiber. One thing that when you are given the question, the write the components of xylem or any xylem related, I mean, or the it like I mean like the component of xylem like questions. So be sure to draw the diagrams of all these components, okay? Because it will give you the more, I mean more 1 marks extra, not I mean, if the question is about 5 marks, then if you write down only for 3 marks, at least it will, at least this diagram will give you 1 extra marks. I mean, like you will get what 4 like that. Okay. So the key fact is lignin provides the strength against the collapse, and water moves via cohesion and tension. No energy required. I mean, from what I have already told you that when in the xylem there is no energy required. I mean, the water, when the roots are absorbing the minerals, there is a, disbalance, okay, disbalance in concentration of minerals between the soil and the roots. So, what happens is, I mean, as you all know the osmosis, so you can already readily know that since there is higher concentration of minerals in the roots and lower concentration of minerals in the soil, so the water goes from the soil to the root. In this way, the water circulates through the plant, okay, and there is also no ATPs required. I mean, it is what I have already told you that mechanism osmosis. And another note is root hair increases the surface area. I mean, as you know that even in humans there are villi-like structure in our stomach, as you all know. It increases the surface area and also helps better absorption. It in the these root hairs also work like that, just like what the villi does to our stomach absorption. Okay. Now the structure of function and of phloem. The components is sieve tubes, its conducting elements. There are porous ends. Okay, so sieve tubes are these tube-like structures, as you can see that. So there are also companion cells. Cells helps in loading and unloading of ATP. These are companion cells. I mean, ATP helps the unloading and loading of ATP, and there is also phloem parenchyma and fibers. Then transport mechanism. I have already told you that there is, I mean, in the phloem transportation, the plants need ATP for the transport. Okay, or more about the translocation. They require energy. So the thing is that at the leaves, I mean, the food is already I mean the food is being processed in the leaves, right? So from there they goes to the fruits or flowers and also goes down the roots. So the thing is that the pressure at the source, I mean the leaves, are at the highest. So from there it goes down and decreases like low at the sink, like where the where the food is being driven to, like roots or fruits, etc. Now there is transpiration. Transpiration is loss of water vapor from the leaf of the plant. Okay, so the thing is that there is three types of transpiration. One is stomatal, from where 90% of the transpiration occurs. I mean, it is the highest rate of transpiration. After that, cuticular, 5 to 10%, and the lenticular, it is very negligible. What is the significance of transpiration? I mean, like, we humans, we sweat. Why do we sweat? It is because we need to cool our body, right? In summer specifically. So the plants also need to do the same. Say they need to they need to excrete out the excess water so they can help their body to cool down. Also they need to do the mineral transport. What is the disadvantage? I mean, excess from, I mean, what does it happen in case of humans when we sweat more? The thing is that the water in our body is decreases, which affects our daily move. Okay, I mean, like, sometimes we feel like vomiting, nauseous, like that. So in case of plants, if you have seen the plants in, like, in the roadside or in your own garden, then you will see that the plants which do not get enough water, they wilt. Okay, they becomes very dry, or they don't look very well. So the thing is that if excess transpiration occurs, then they will wilt. The note is stomata regulation by potassium ions and ABA hormone. Okay, I mean, in transpiration, stoma opens and closes, right? So this occurs due to potassium and ABA hormones. And there is also accent of sap, water transportation, water transport. I mean, transpiration pools. I mean, I have already told about the xylem. In the process, there are one option that there is a transpiration pool. So what happens that when the plant transpires transpires the excess water from the aerial site. So the thing is, at that time, because the water decreases during the transpiration, this also, ये ये एक pool create करता है, ठीक है? So the root also absorbs more water so that they can easily flow up, I mean, flow up the xylem more. Steps: water evaporates from the leaves, like what happens in transpiration. Water pulls water from the xylem and continuous column due to cohesion. That's what it is. After the translocation of food, I mean, transpiration is only about the minerals and the water, but when the food is being circulated, then it is known as translocation. So the thing is that sucrose loaded into the phloem at the source. I mean, because from the leaf. Okay, after all, it is the source. After that, water flows by the osmosis, high pressure, flows to say unloaded. Factors affecting temperature, pH, sieve tube health. So after that is adaptation in plants for transportation, like xerophytes, desert plants. You have already seen cactus, right? So they don't have the leaves. They have that, वो कांटे रहते हैं उन लोगों के. So they have thick cuticle, sunken stomata, and they use CAM photosynthesis to reduce transpiration. I mean, उन लोगों के, आई मीन, लीव्स के क्या होते हैं, उन लोगों के जो सरफेस एरिया है बहुत ज़्यादा है, बट जो उन लोगों के जो कांटे रहते हैं ना, उन लोगों के तो सिर्फ सरफेस एरिया बहुत कम है। तो अभी डेजर्ट में क्योंकि सन बहुत ज़्यादा रहते हैं ना, तो ट्रांसपायर ज़्यादा होता है। तो इसलिए उन लोगों ने ये इवोल्यूशन ये ये इवोल्यूशन है। तो ये लीफ की जगह, एक्सेप्ट इंस्टेड ऑफ लीफ, दे हैव क्रिएटेड दिस कार्टिंग। ओके, so that the transpiration can be less. After that, hydrophytes, these are aquatic, I mean like water lily. Okay, they reduce the xylem parenchyma for air. So the thing is that they don't need that water. I mean, they can transpire very much because they already are living on the water surface. Okay, they are living on the water surface, or they are all submerged in the water, so they don't need to care about the temperature that much. And there are also mesophytes. They are very general, balanced features. So this is all about the circulation in plants. So I have completed the plant portion, and that's all. To know more, follow our Bookmarks Educare.